Good afternoon, and welcome to Curtain Call, our podcast all about theater. Today, we're happy to bring to you a Detroit original, a young woman who is absolutely awesome and phenomenal as a playwright, as an actress, as an artist. It's such an exciting time now to have her on because there's so much happening here in Detroit right now. It's a wonderful time for theater in Detroit. All of the local playhouses and theater companies are starting their seasons, everywhere from the Repertory Theater to the Birmingham Village to Stage Crafters. All the theater companies, even the Opera House that's got Moulin Rouge going on. Theater is on and popping right now in Detroit. But outside of that, or not outside of, but including that, we've got special performances that are coming up. And Morgan Breon, who we have with us today, has got a special show coming up this weekend that we're going to talk about. But first, we're just going to find out who Morgan is and as a playwright and as an artist, and have her talk to us for today's podcast. Morgan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas.
So happy to have you,
I'm excited to be here. Honored to be here.
and so happy to have you.
Yeah.
Morgan is a local product. She just did a one-woman show in New York, and that one-woman show is going to open up here this weekend. And so let's just get into who Morgan is and her art and her artistry, and not just her art and artistry, but Morgan is doing some things that well, we just let her tell us about it. So Morgan, the first thing I want to ask you, I know you have your own company, your own organization called. You tell us what it is, because
Okay.
I've asked the question: is it He'll Be Live or He'll Be Live?
Yeah.
And I need you to explain what it is and explain those dots.
Yeah, good question. Before I say that, I do want to take a moment to honor this moment because I don't know what people do or don't know about you, but you are a living legend, and so I have to just honor this moment. You have played a major role in my foundation as an artist and as a playwright. Growing up in Southfield,
Okay.
as a teenager, you know, being exposed to what theater was and theater with this just very high production style quality and just being so close to it and
Hmm.
you just kind of having this openness about you and actually just inviting youth into your process. I'm just forever grateful for that. So I just had to take a moment to just say, I'm sitting on this couch right across from you because of you and people like you. So just thank you for that.
Thank you, Morgan.
Yeah.
I'm truly touched by
Yeah.
that. Uh,
I forgot you're truly touched.
yeah, I haven't used that in a long time. Truly touched. But yeah, you were just one of the brightest young people I've ever been around. And when I started the theater at Hope United Methodist Church, there were so many gifted, talented young people there. And so at one point I started we had a program called Young, Gifted, and Black. And Morgan had featured a number of different teenagers, but
Yeah, four of us.
but there were four who were like the headliners. Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
my son Khalid, uh,
Hilton Wright.
Hilton Wright, called him Deuce,
Yeah.
and Ellen Chamberlain. Ellen was a dancer. Hilton was into music. My son was a drummer and into music. And Morgan was just a gifted artist. And that,
Always a wild card.
and there were several other young people who participated in that program. It was a beautiful thing.
It was.
And I look back on that fondly and would love to see more of that going on now because we do have outlets for theater for young people like Mosaic and other companies that young people get in training. But thank you, Morgan, for bringing that up.
Absolutely.
He'll be
Live.
He'll
The
be
answer is
live.
He'll Be Live, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, He'll Be Live is an organization, really a company that I founded. It's an LLC that I founded in 2017. I had written a play called Waking Up Alive, which talked about mental illness in the Black church, and kind of needed a platform to kind of push that work out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And God had dropped this idea. I just had the title for He'll Be Live in my spirit.
Okay.
Didn't really kind of know what I was going to do with that. And we did like a little reading of the play, and a lot of people were really excited about it. So I sat down with a mentor of mine. She said, "Okay, well, what are you thinking?" I said, "Well, God kind of gave me this idea. He'll be live." She's like, "Oh, I love that. What does it mean?" And so you work backwards, and it's in order to live, you must first be. In order to be, you must first heal. Heal, be, live.
Okay.
And so the dots are representative of like each of these things have to take place in and of themselves to be a part of like the collective process.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's and then the process is indicated by the three dots, which is an ellipses, which is a continuation. So
Okay.
the idea that you're always going to be healing, always going to be being, always going to be living, just kind of takes place individually and collectively. So
Okay.
that's what it is.
That's beautiful.
Thank
That's
you.
A beautiful company.
Yeah.
So you do work with mental illness?
So it's I'll say it's mental health inspired.
Okay.
So the idea is that we use arts and theater to facilitate dialogue and community, to
Okay.
start conversations, to kind of eliminate some of the taboo or like ickiness around talking about some really hard conversations like mental illness in the Black church,
Mhm.
So
Yeah. You know, we have to think about the church.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I want to back up a little bit.
Okay.
It's been a while since we've talked and seen
Yeah.
each other, and I know, for all those who did not know, uh, who would know, but Morgan was a Gates scholar, right?
Yes.
Gates scholar.
Yes.
And so Morgan, just tell, because I don't know what you pursued as your education, and how that education has led you to this point into the mental health aspect of it,
Okay.
as well as the theater aspect, how you marry
Yeah.
the two, because that's a natural connection there, because theater is all about life and relationships,
Yeah.
and culture and social issues, and emotional issues. So you can do all of that through theater. So
Yeah.
give us a roadmap of your life.
My journey to
Yeah, your journey to this point.
Yes, so I was introduced to, I guess you could say, drama in sixth grade, which I'm really excited. My sixth grade teacher, who actually facilitated this, what we call a century play, is actually going to come to the show this weekend. So I'm really excited about that. It's just really full circle. And so sixth grade, we had this opportunity to. She was just a really great teacher, and she really allowed us to use our creativity to kind of ground our learning. So our reading class, she had us research different musicians, concepts, principles, things that throughout history, and then we consolidated into this century play, and everybody presented different things through performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I was assigned the 50s,
Okay.
Lucille Ball. And
Wow.
so,
Okay.
and so me and three of my classmates, we wrote a skit about like based off of like I Love Lucy.
Okay.
And a lot of the kids didn't really want to participate, but any opportunity that I could plug into any other century,
Mm-hmm.
I was on top of it. I just ate it up. So we did we did a sock hop dance. Nobody wanted to do it, and then we did it, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. So we did a sock hop dance. We did the Diana Ross and the Supremes, Tina Turner, and Ike and Tina Turner. And then I think I got kicked out after they kind of caught on that I was kind of saturating the play. So after the 70s, I got kicked out.
Okay.
But one of the key moments, and we were actually just talking about this a couple of weeks ago when I talked to her about the play, was I was obsessed with Angela Bassett. I just felt like at the time she was like the supreme of what a wonderful actress was. So
Mm-hmm.
when we found out that Tina Turner was going to be one of the acts, like I was like, oh great, I'm going to audition. I'm going to play Tina Turner. And I showed up to class one day, and Tina Turner had been assigned. And so, as my teacher would tell it, I had the worst attitude for like 3 weeks. I wouldn't talk to her. I would mumble different things. So finally, she said, "Come here, little girl. What is your problem?" And I said, "I wanted to play Tina Turner. You gave away Tina Turner. You didn't even let me audition." She said, "You want to play Tina Turner?" I said, "I do." She said, "Okay, you can audition right now." So she turned on the movie, and she said, "You audition right now." And I wowed her, and so she said, "Okay, we'll split the day between you and the other young lady."
Okay.
So that play, and especially the role of Tina Turner, is something that everybody talked about, and it was just like, "Oh, I really, really like this." So fast forward to eighth grade is when we had this opportunity to do this honors certificate for graduation. That's where I wrote the one person show that you talked about earlier called Portrait of a Wise Woman, which was based off of just different conversations I had had with my mother. My grandmother was actually sitting at Hope Church while my mom was in Bible study and wrote it. And something about the spirit of that, almost a whole decade later, it's still something that resonates with audiences of a wide range of backgrounds, ages, whatever. So I really fell in love with acting at that point, and then I was introduced to you at Hope, and then from there, someone was like, "Well, you should audition for Mosaic," and participated in Mosaic for a year.
I didn't know you did Mosaic.
Yeah, I did it for ninth grade. I did it ninth grade year. I played another old woman in that show, and then we did a version of Much Ado About Nothing, and I played the lead role, and then I understudied for someone, and when they couldn't play it, I played that role. Um, so the interesting part of that was it was a big part of my life, and then um, I remember it was actually Pastor Stewart asking me when I was heading into my junior year, like, "Are you going to pursue acting in college?" I was just like, wow, I never really thought that was like something that would be possible for me. And so I entertained it, and then someone came in and shut that idea down and said, "You can't make a living as an artist. You don't need to be doing that. You need to get a real career." And so that completely scared me from doing anything theatrical in college. And so um, I majored. I got 4 degrees at the University of Michigan.
Well, hold up, back up. You got how many degrees?
4 degrees, 4 degrees. And then you talked about the Gates Scholarship. So graduating from high school, I wound up getting the Gates Millennium Scholarship, which helps to pay for the rest, everything at your college, right? So, and there's some mechanics around that, but ultimately you get free college in anything you want in undergrad, and then when you go to grad school, it has to be for certain majors. So once that kind of solidified this like academic career, I was just like, okay, well, let me people please, let me find something that's secure. Didn't like blood, so couldn't be a doctor. Fell asleep during the LSAT, so I wasn't going to be a lawyer. But I really, I really gravitated towards like social work, psychology, things of that nature. So I wound up getting my bachelor's, 2 bachelors in psychology and one in English. And then I got 2 masters, one in social work, clinical social work with children and youth, and then education and policy and leadership. So, and that was 6 years straight. And so, in between that, I worked with the summer program that did acting for like incoming freshmen, and every now and then I would do some type of like film project, but I just stayed away from acting. And then when I graduated from my first graduate program, a friend of mine, because we were all social workers, so we used to social work each other, she said, "Morgan, as your friend, I want to tell you that you're a very angry person, and I think we need to sit and talk about like what's at the root of that." And I was like, "I'm not angry." And so she said, so my other friend kind of roped into the conversation. She said, if you could do anything and without the fear of falling, what would it be? And immediately I said I would act. So after that, I just went to my mom and I said, I got you I got you 4 degrees. I need your blessing to act. And so for the next 5 years after I graduated, I had 4 degrees in my pocket. I didn't use any of them. I started acting professionally, doing theater. I did some modeling because of a person that I had connected to who was just like, well, this is another great way to kind of get the confidence up with like performing. And so that was that was that was the journey until I started kind of having my heartstrings pulled towards social work again.
Okay. You are watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and all other streaming services that you may have. Again, you're watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world. Okay, so from one of the most phenomenal educations I've ever heard. I've known people who've gotten 3 or 4 degrees before, but 2 degrees from the 4 degrees from the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. That's amazing.
But I'll just always say, education doesn't cure ignorance. So
It really does.
It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of anything.
So, you were working in social work, any specific area?
Well, I wasn't working in social work. I was acting.
That's right. You
I was
said
acting full time.
you got the degrees,
Yeah.
and then you started acting
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah.
What were some of the shows you did?
So I worked a lot with Shakespeare Detroit. Shout out to Shakespeare Detroit.
Okay.
I actually did. I did Romeo and Juliet. The way they cut the script, Lady and Lord Capulet was the same character. So I played Lord and Lady Capulet, and that was a very significant experience for me because we actually performed it at Mumford High School, and some of the mothers came up to the director, and from what he told me, they were in tears when they said, "There's just something about this was performed like." I really felt like, as a single mom, like I could see myself in this character, and I was just like, we might have something here where I can really kind of help speak to people's hearts and minds, from the stage. So, Romeo and Juliet. Then I went on to play Ariel in The Tempest. I also played Oriole in Hamlet. And then one of the major moments was Sam White. She was directing Merchant of Venice, and she wanted me to play Portia.
Okay.
Well, I don't like kissing Rose, and I didn't want to wear no dress on stage. And I said, I have a proposition. Would you allow me to play Shylock? And she said, I want Shylock to be an old Jewish man. I said, I can give you that. So she said, let me think on it. And she got back to me a couple of days later. She said, I want to let you play Shylock.
Okay.
And I'll just say that she talked to someone who worked at the Public Theater in New York City, and they said, I saw your Shylock in Detroit, and your Shylock in Detroit was better than Al Pacino's. Sorry, Al. Al Pacino's Shylock at the Public Theater in New York City. Yeah. And the most infamous quote was her father said after the show, Sam, come here. Now, is that a man or a woman playing Shylock? So just the fact that, I was really able to embody in a way that folks kind of couldn't tell. So, so those plays, and then the most, I guess the most.
Do anything with? You done anything with Shakespeare? Did you know if you done it high? I know you did.
Yeah. We were actually in Merchant of Venice together.
Okay.
Yep. So
we had him on earlier.
Yeah, he's just the most genuine human being you could ever meet. Yeah. So we were in Merchant of Venice together. I guess I could say the most prominent thing that I did was the Matrix Theater. I played, I was cast in No Child, which is it was written as a one-person show by a woman named Elijah Sun, and I actually was in that with Clifford Sykes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he was.
I want to
He
get
played.
Clifford on. I understand he has a theater up in Flint.
Oh, really? I
Mm-hmm.
did not know that.
Yeah, and I know he's been working with Robert Johnson in his theater too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Wow, I
yeah,
didn't. I
yeah.
have not seen him in such a long. That was in 2014, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so he played the janitor role, and then I played the
Is
15
that
other
is that
characters.
is that the one I saw?
I think so. And
Yeah.
Matrix down there.
It
Yep,
was
yep,
Matrix. Yeah,
15
after.
characters.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
That was good.
So,
That was excellent.
thank you.
It's not easy doing a one-person show. Period. That is one of the most difficult things you can do. And I want to just say that while we're on the subject about Shakespeare. For you young actors and wannabe actors out there, if you get an opportunity to do Shakespeare, take advantage of it because a lot of people are afraid of the language, the way the scripts are written, the old English language. But once you really get into it, what it will do is will help you with develop your abilities to interpret a script
Yes, absolutely.
and deliver that interpretation because when you break Shakespeare down, basically all you have is melodrama. It's like
Yeah.
watching a soap opera.
Yeah.
And so when you yeah, being able to do Shakespeare
Yeah.
and even going to see Shakespeare is a good experience for anybody who's interested in theater and especially doing theater.
I'm glad you said that too, though, because especially for like a lot of young black um, artists, and I've also talked to a lot of adult artists who have been in the game for a very long time. They're just very afraid of Shakespeare, but I do appreciate that about Sam in particular because we actually did something. She invited me to come do some like workshop with some Shakespearean actors in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I do not act like any of these people. And I told her, I said, I don't know if I'm the right person to kind of keep continuing this partnership. And she said, you need to bring Morgan to the roles.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can bring Morgan. This is Shakespeare in Detroit. We need to give the people what they need. We're bringing Shakespeare to them. We're not trying to have them alter themselves to like take in Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. It really forces you to find the essence of the interpretation, and it's your job to communicate that. It's your job to find the story within the story, and so yeah, it's yeah.
A great part of acting, one of the biggest things about acting is interpretation. I did a workshop this past Saturday, and that was one of the things that I talked about, is how important interpretation is. You can have all these acting methods of acting that you can study, and these forms and styles and everything, but it's all about interpreting the script.
Yes.
And if you want to help develop your abilities to interpret the script, read Shakespeare, or read anything, read everything, but read Shakespeare and learn how to deliver that, and it will just broaden your abilities to just look at a script cold, go into an audition, read that script cold, deliver the audition to the point that you get the role.
Yeah.
Because you've interpreted what the author wants, what the writer has put on the page and what the director is looking to bring out.
Yeah. I agree.
So continue with your journey.
Yeah. So I was doing acting for about 5 years professionally, and what I do want to offer is that I have been blessed to be very celebrated in the Detroit market, but I've had a lot of disappointment, in trying to. I got rejected from 4 master's programs for MFA programs. Didn't know what I was doing, just kind of out here trying to make it because I didn't have that formal training or that formal background. And so I appreciate those rejections. I appreciate the fear that kind of guided my journey at the University of Michigan because it allowed me to see the possibilities of theater beyond the stage. And so just kind of offering that as a bit of encouragement of like, and I taught at Interlochen for about 6 weeks in 2022, and that was one of the biggest things that I was trying to communicate to my students was just like once you set your mind on whatever the goal is, like the way that it plays out, it's just like any story, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many versions of Cinderella are there? How many versions of um, oh, well, Cinderella is one of the main ones, but there's so many versions of like the same type of story, but the way that it unfolds is very different. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, just understanding that every part of the journey kind of contributes to the end result. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in that vein, this person named Emilio Rodriguez, who was extremely instrumental in me kind of developing as an artist. He was the one that directed Romeo and Juliet,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the one that kind of pushed the one woman show Portrait of a Wise Woman back to the top again. I was like, nobody wants to see this play after 13 years. He's like, I think some people are going to want to see it. And he got these awards, 13 years later and things of that nature. And so he had invited me to help launch this acting program at Denby High School.
Okay.
We brought it there. We was doing it for free. It was 10 weeks. And when we got there, we started off with 10 kids. We ended up with 3. That's another. That's another story.
That's interesting.
It's another story, but I saw that the students responded very well
Mm-hmm.
to the theatrical process.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of just walked to school one day and just kind of and we had about like 100 people come to that like this little show, and
Mm-hmm.
it was 7 of us on stage, and and we didn't have any background or props or anything of that nature. But after the show was over, the principal, Matt Mangan, was just like, thanks so much. This was a really great experience. And I said, I really kind of feel like my work here isn't done. I got a couple of degrees. I can
Mm-hmm.
send you my resume. You can pick one and
Mm-hmm.
figure out a spot for me. So he's like, I'll do that. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then about 2 months later, he called me and said, we've created a position. If you could come in as a behavior specialist, we'd love to have you. I was like, don't know what that is. But as long as I kind of have some free range, I can come in and do them for the next 4 months until we all got laid off. Um, I was there as a behavior specialist. Um,
At Denby.
At Denby High School,
Okay.
Far East Side of Detroit.
Yeah, I worked at Denby when I was doing some things with the EAA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we were actually I was there under that time.
How did I miss you? Because I was over there all the time.
Because I came towards like the tail end of it.
Okay.
I came in 2017, and I think it
That was
ended
around the time.
in 2018 or 2019.
We did EAA from the inception almost to its end.
Mm.
And Denby wasn't EAA school.
Yes, it was.
It was. We just our paths
We
were
just-
crossing. We
we
just
just-
missed each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two shifts passing in the night.
Right.
So yeah, as you know, then DMB is like 99% black students, 98% free lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of things going on in that neighborhood, and so my students were not apt to just sitting down talking about their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I started using kind of creative methods and tools that I had. Some that I had learned in social work school,
Mm-hmm.
others that I was just kind of developing as I went along. And they responded very well, but they didn't like that they were responding very well to it. So
Wow.
the principal came up to me one time and said, I don't know if do you mind if you could just go up to Antonia and just talk to her? I said, okay, anything in particular? He said, no, I just want her to get a little bit more comfortable. She's highly convinced that you work for the FBI. And I just want her not to be like nervous every time she's around you.
Mhm.
So, because I always dressed up when I was there. I had one of my students just like, why are you always wearing church clothes? And I was like, it's not church clothes. It's a skirt and a blouse, But that was just kind of like the culture shock for them. And so what I'll end with is one day I was in the class, and this is in the play because the play is based off of my time
Okay.
at Denby.
I have got to see this.
Yeah,
Gotta do it
based
again.
on my time. While we're here today, I'll introduce you to some of the characters.
Okay.
But a student came in my room, and he was kicked out of class, and I said, okay, you got to do some work. So just told him what to draw, and then I did a projective test analysis on him. He just looked at the paper and looked at me and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Is you a witch, bro?" So I was like, "No. You better not be calling me a bitch." And no. So I went out into the hallway after the bell rang and I told the dean, I said, Dee just asked me if I was a witch. And he was like, "I thought you knew. That's what they call you, the students. They get kicked out of class and they beg me not to go to your room." Um, One of the students said that people cry in your room. Said her cousin's been dead 2 years. She never cried about it, but she had her draw a picture and she cried about it. And so that is the moment that I realized, okay, something really powerful is going on here. They're actually processing things that they're not processing. They're actually thinking through things that they're not thinking through. And we really have the opportunity to do something pretty special here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You're watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and all other streaming services. Curtain Call, WJZZ TV, Cool TV, coming to you live on all your streaming services. WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world. Okay, so you're expressing here that there was a deep need for counselors, first of all, qualified counselors in our public schools, because there's a lot going on, and we can see that with what's going on in our schools today.
Yeah.
Everything from the violence, guns, the fights. There's a need for mental health awareness and structure to deal with mental health in the schools.
Yeah.
And so you've taken this experience and created something for the theater, which kind of works both ways. You deal with the mental health, and you've taken this avocation that you have of theater, which has also been a vocation for you. Combine the two. Does that have anything to do with how we get to heal, be, live?
You're on it.
Okay.
So we got laid off, of course. That program ended at Denby. And from there, I decided to kind of start merging that experience. Like, how can I tap more into that experience of using theater, using creative outlets and methods to really help people talk about these deeper issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when He'll Be Lived kind of manifested. And so I list myself as a self-proclaimed called artivist, art plus activism, artivism.
Okay.
And that is kind of the mantra of He'll Be Lived. So from there, we just kind of took that out. Like I said, with this first play, Waking Up Alive. Then we've done some docu-plays where I kind of interview folks and then compile that into some type of dramatic theater piece. But it wasn't until 2021 that a woman named Diane Hill, love Diane Hill, reached out to me about doing a play for Zoom, because we were in the midst of COVID.
Okay.
Or COVID. I don't know why I said COVID, but of COVID. And so it was just a 30-minute script at that point. And she said, you're going to have to make this longer. I was like, no, I haven't acted in like 8 years. I don't really have any interest in doing this, but this gives me a really great idea. So after we did the show, it was one night. It was recorded, and people could like watch it on playback at the time. I was just like, I'm going to make a training program out of this. And so I spent the next couple of years developing a curriculum, and the curriculum includes clips of the play throughout the different phases of the training.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 phases to the training. They're each a minimum of an hour and a half, and since 2021, this training program has been accepted in the 2 largest education and research conferences. We've been able to piloted with about 350 people across the nation and in Bermuda. It's random, but they were great. Um, and it talks about trauma awareness, how to identify trauma symptoms amongst Black students. It's built to increase empathy for Black students, to curb some of the punitive consequences that they get in response to their behaviors more than other racial groups, and really help. It started off as more of an interventive program where we would go into the schools and like giving the teachers this education, but then it became this prevention program where we're actually partnering with universities and community organizations to say, hey, how about you kind of get exposed to like what might be waiting for you and see how you respond on this end so you can start working on how you'll actually implement these tools once you get into those settings. And so to date, we have, out of those 350 people, we've had 99.9% say that they would recommend the training. The one person was a guy named John who didn't realize that he was signing up for a training that focused on kids, and he works with adults. So
Okay.
he messed up my data, but it's fine. It's fine. And so it's called the Danger of Hope training. And it's just gotten a really lot of great responses, and the data works. But then earlier this year, a woman named Tabitha Matthews, who's also alumni of Mosaic Youth Theater, she is the artistic director for a company in New York City called Good Life Productions, alongside Carolyn Harrison, and they reached out and they said, we need a slot in our summer festival. We're looking for one-person shows. We think yours might be a good fit. We need to add some more time to it because it was only 30 minutes at a time. So I worked with Diane, and we got it to 50 minutes. And we premiered it in New York City, the full-length version in New York City in July and August. And that was the first time it actually been done in front of in front of a live audience.
Okay, what was that experience like?
New York City?
Yeah.
You know, that's why I say again, like God really puts you where you need to be at what time you need to be there. I think Morgan from like 8 years ago would have been really intimidated by New York City. I was more so exhilarated and charged by the fact that it was going to be something that I wrote, something that I was performing, something I was presenting myself. And I hadn't been doing it. I hadn't acted in 8 years. And so I told the audiences there, maybe just too transparent, I was like, I'm so glad you all enjoyed the show, but unfortunately, like, I'm not doing this for you. I had a lot to prove to myself, that I still had that stamina, that I still had that spirit of excellence, that I wasn't going to cut corners because it was my show. Like, I really wanted to give to my own show what I would expect of myself to give to anybody else's show. And so it was cool. We got a lot of really great humbling, and I say humbling in the fact that I was humbled that so many people who have engaged with Broadway so much, and so many like famous people were like overwhelmed, like with excitement about the play. So one lady was so moved, she like wrote her own review. We didn't ask her to do it. It's like she wrote a review, and she was like, you need to meet this casting director. And other people were just like, this is better than a lot of stuff I've seen on Broadway. And I'm just like, really? Like this, you know?
Yeah, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, I was. So
it
was good.
Yeah, like you said, the stamina, not cutting in the corners. Doing good theater is basically putting in the work.
Yes. Behind the scenes.
Yeah, putting in the work, and as long as you've got a good vehicle, a good product, and as a writer, you hope your product is good, and once you get it in front of an audience, if you hadn't cut the corners, if you put in the work, and you got the energy. I told the people that Saturday night, acting is energy. You can't just be who you are and get on the stage or even in front of a camera and call yourself an actor if you don't take that energy level way up and then sustain that energy level throughout the whole performance, every single time.
And respond to the energy of the audience.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, and every night in theater, you got a live audience that you can draw that energy from.
Yeah.
It's different in front of a camera on a movie set, where you have to manufacture that energy yourself or draw that energy from within yourself.
Yep.
But on the stage, you've got a different audience every night that brings its own level of energy and feedback. And if you know how to draw upon that, you will give a good show every night. But you got to be able to bring it. As I say, you got to put it out there yourself. But God bless you on being able to get to New York and do your thing. A one-woman show on New York. So many of us have been trying to get to New York that haven't gotten there. So you're gonna bring that show here.
Yes.
And this weekend, and I know it's gonna be wonderful.
I received that.
Yeah, it's gonna be wonderful. And because, like you said, it's putting in the work. A lot of people don't realize how much work goes into doing theater. It is a lot of work in order to get to the level that you want to make people enjoy your show and want to come back and see more.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something socially relevant, emotionally relevant, being able to reach people on a different level, I can say I've been blessed to have people walk out on some of my shows in tears.
Yeah.
We did a show at the Northwest Activity, Grandma Rogers' neighborhood.
Yes.
And a woman just came out and she cried and she just couldn't. And a young lady came out and cried and they just couldn't stop crying. And it was a character that they could relate to. And I'm not sure which ones they were related to in the show, but the characters had reached them, and they had reached them on a deep emotional level. And they had to express themselves in tears.
Yeah.
And if you can make people laugh and you can make people cry, and most importantly, you can make them think, then you're doing good theater. You're doing good theater.
Yeah.
So tell us about the show, more about the show.
Yeah.
And maybe you can give us a few snippets of the characters.
Some of the characters.
But just tell us about, you already told us the inspiration coming out of Denver, right? Some kids that you worked with there. So give us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, what I will say was pretty special is that just kind of more context behind the show. I actually had some of my students from Denver read the script to get their blessing. One of the stories is heavily inspired by one of my students, and she read the script and she, said that she really got emotional. And I had Matt Mangan, who was the principal at the time, read the script. And so that's been pretty special. And one of my students came to New York, flew to New York to see it as well, and I invited her up on the stage. So that's been really, really great. And they'll be there this weekend as well. I also do want to say that the reason that we're bringing it back to Michigan is because before I went to New York, I did like a small dress rehearsal with a small group of people I just really trusted. And it's going back to what you said about people getting invested in the character afterward. Because I didn't know, again, this is my first time actually doing it in front of people. I didn't know how I was going to translate it. I sat down with my notepad, ready to get their feedback, and one person just spoke and just, started sobbing. And then it was just this trickle effect, and everybody just started sobbing. And that's when I was like, okay, wait, we got something going here. And one of the folks who was there said, you got to bring this back here. You got to bring it back. The community needs this. And so I just take pride in the fact that the only reason we're doing the show is because it's a direct request of the community. And I think that is what is going to make it special, is that it's actually being done in the spirit of opening up the community, allowing the community to have a space to be vulnerable, to be open, honest, and to kind of explore some of the themes that come up in the show.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. And so many things will grow out of that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here now thinking, how can some of the places and ideas and things.
Mhm.
I worked with some kids this past school year,
Mhm.
and had them do write a 10-minute
Mhm.
performance for the stage, and it dealt with a person who was at a party who had a bipolar
Mm.
episode
Mhm.
while at the party.
Yeah, that's
Went into
good.
a bipolar episode.
That's
That was-
really good.
And what we plan to do is to continue writing that, and
That's
to see where
good.
it goes.
Yes, that's
Having
good.
and the kids, the talented young kids out there writing.
Yeah.
You're watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV live, streaming on X, Facebook, YouTube, and all other streaming services. Curtain Call, WJZZ Cool TV live, streaming for you. WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world. Okay, so let's talk about some of these characters.
Plays, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
let's get some of Morgan's
Yeah, of course.
acting abilities on camera.
Yes, so there's 8 characters in the show, 5 students and three staff members. So I'll introduce you to about half of them. So
Okay.
first you got Andre. Andre's just a real smooth, real cool, 9th grade student. Just he focused on the core 3 things. Getting money, having fun, of course, talking to girls, getting as many girls as he can. So you got Andre, who's just real laid back and cool. Then you have Brianna. Brianna is super sassy, and also super smart. She's very focused, very dedicated. She's no nonsense, don't tolerate nothing. Then you have
Mrs. London is one of the teachers there, and she's just very demure and a little nervous, and she's trying to figure out how she finds her place this year. Just a little overwhelmed, but not too overwhelmed that she can't do her job, but just a little overwhelmed and just just learning what this new process is.
Then you have Mr. Thompson, who is the dean and super authoritarian, but he's also very compassionate about the students, but also wants them to get what they need to get to focus and really get to where they're trying to get to, because he wants the best for them. So that's some of the characters.
Wow, wow. And there's a one-woman show.
Yeah.
You are all these characters.
Yes.
8 different characters.
Yes. Yes.
In
yes.
50 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
It tells a story that begins with an introduction, a rise in action, and a climax.
Yes.
As a writer,
Yes.
that's the other thing I want to talk to you about. You're not only just a gifted actress,
Mhm.
you're a gifted writer.
Mhm.
And writing is a gift, and you recognize that early on as a teenager, that you wrote a one-woman show as a teenager. So your acting gifts and your writing gifts are what makes you the creative person that you are.
Yeah.
And they are gifts.
They are.
I
They
consider
are
my
gifts.
abilities to write and to act as gifts as well.
Yes.
And to know that you have spent a lifetime since early teens, since the 6th grade,
Since the 6th grade.
developing these abilities and these skills, these gifts. Let's call them gifts. That's what they are, they're gifts. And developing those gifts and talents into skills is highly commendable. And I'm so proud of you, Morgan.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you, and
Thank you
I've
for being a
always
part of that process.
and I'm so happy to have been a part of that process. I look forward to really many great things from you. And I'm going to recommend that you go see
Yes.
Danger of Hope.
The Danger of
You
Hope.
want to tell everybody where it is and when it is and
Yes.
how much it is?
Absolutely.
Curtain time.
Yes. Again, just a big, huge thank you. So The Danger of Hope premieres, I don't know which This one right here, okay. I'll just look over
Yeah,
in that
look over there,
direction. The Danger of Hope premieres this Friday, October 11th. It's October 11th, 12th, and 13th. Friday and Saturday, the show is at 7 o'clock p.m. Saturday, it's at 3 o'clock p.m. Doors open 30 minutes before, and seating takes place 30 minutes before. Tickets are $20 online in advance or $25 at the door. There's plenty of parking. Just get there on time. And it's at the Inspired Acting Company in Wall Lake, Michigan, which is actually one of our sponsor for the show. So they have lended their space to us, their time to us. I'm super grateful for just them taking this project on and sponsoring us and really kind of championing behind us. Huge, again, shout out to Diane Hill, who has directed this show and has really made it super dynamic, so it's not just what it was in sixth grade, just a woman sitting at a bus stop for the whole 13 minutes or so. So, yeah, come out and see us, and we'll just be happy to have you there. There'll be a 20-minute talk back after every show, and what a talk back is just when we kind of sit as this like momentary community and we talk about what the audience thinks about the show, what they think about the themes discussed in the show, how they process the show, feelings and emotions that came up, and we just kind of have a moment to kind of sit in the moment of the play and just kind of take it all in together.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
I've
having me.
seen Morgan do a one-woman show, and I guarantee you will love it. She is phenomenal. And that is it for Curtain Call on this Monday afternoon. Thank you for watching, and tune in again next week when our guest will be Edmund Jones. Thank you.